Kombio, how to play. The object of the game is to have the fewest points at the end. Shuffle the deck and deal 4 face-down cards to each player. Players arrange the cards in a 2x2 grid without looking at them. This is called your hand. Cards in your hand are always kept face down on the table. At the beginning of each round, players look at their bottom 2 cards once. Place the remainder of the deck face down as a draw deck. The discard pile will be next to it. The player left of the dealer goes first, then play proceeds clockwise. On your turn, you may perform one of 3 options: draw, take, or call. To draw, take the top card of the deck and look at it without showing it to anyone. You may either replace it with any card in your hand, placing it face down and discarding the swapped card face up to the discard pile, or you may discard the drawn card directly to the discard pile. If you discard it directly and the discarded card has an ability, you may use that ability if you want. The abilities are as follows. 7 and 8s, look at your own. You may secretly look at one card in your hand. 9s and 10s, look at others. You may secretly look at one card in an opponent's hand. 11s and 12s, blind swap. Swap any 2 cards on the table without looking at either card. The 2 swapped cards may be from any player's hand. You do not need to swap with your cards. 13s, look and swap. Secretly look at one card on the table and swap it with any other card on the table without looking at that other card. If, after looking, you don't want to swap, then you don't have to. 14s, double look and swap. Secretly look at 2 cards on the table and swap them if you want. You are allowed to look at cards in your own hand. Cards only have abilities when drawn and played directly into the discard pile. Cards discarded from hands do not have abilities. To take the top card of the discard pile and swap it face down for one card in your hand. You are not allowed to take a card that has been matched. To match, at any time during the game, not just on your turn, you may flip a card of the same value onto the last discarded card. If the 2 cards are the same, then you have successfully matched and continue the game with 1 fewer card in your hand. You may match using any card on the table from any player. If the successfully matched card is from an opponent's hand, then you get to select any card in your hand and, without revealing it, place it into your opponent's hand in the place the matched card came from. If the flipped card does not match the top discard, then, if that card was in your hand, show that card to everyone, then flip it face down and draw 1 face down penalty card from the deck and, without looking at it, add it to your hand. If the incorrect match came from an opponent's hand, then show that card to everyone, and that opponent may either give you the incorrectly matched card by placing it face down in your hand, or they may keep that card face down in their hand and force you to draw a penalty card from the deck and add it into your hand without looking. Only 1 match is allowed per discarded card. The first player to match gets it. You may not match to a card that was just matched. Each player is only allowed 1 attempt per discarded card to match. An attempt is revealing the card enough for someone to see it. Finally, you are only allowed to use 1 physical hand when performing a match. To call, instead of playing, say, Kombio. Now, all the other players get 1 final turn, then the round ends, and players reveal their cards and points are scored. During that final turn, unless playing with only 2 players, the calling player's hand is locked, and no player may swap, view, or match with their hand. Additionally, the caller is not allowed to make matches with other players' cards. Only 1 player can call each round. If a player's hand is reduced to 0 cards, then it is an automatic call. After the final play from the call, each player reveals their hand and adds the values together to determine their score for the round. If the caller has the lowest score, then every other player gets an additional 10 points added to their hand score. But if another player ties or has a lower score than the caller, then the caller gets an additional 15 points added to their score while everyone else just receives their hand score. Use paper or the free Kombio scoring app from the link in the description to record everyone's scores, then play another round. Repeat this process until one player's score passes 100, then the player with the lowest score wins. Alternatively, you can play to a set number of rounds, then the player with the lowest score at the end wins. Two popular house rules on Kombio.cards you can play with are the long shot. If you have both 14s in your hand at the end of the round and nothing else, then your hand score is worth negative 15 points instead of 28. The gambler. If you have one 14 and any number of other cards so that your hand score is exactly 25 points, then you score negative 10 points instead of 25.